This is Bailey for Chill With Us. This is May 18th, 2026, and we're doing a special horror movie series event show. I'm here with our special guest, Jenn.
Hello.
And we're going to start out with our favorite horror movie franchise or TV show. Mine is going to have to be the Evil Dead franchise, just for simply being one of the first ones I watched growing up. It's got a really interesting concept, the Necronomicon and the Book of the Dead, and it's used to summon spirits and everything. And I think it was just the way they filmed it. It's like really, to me, the first person perspective of like when the entity is like chasing people through the cabin is what really got me. Because like I'd never really seen that in anything before, besides like maybe Jaws.
I really like the Scream franchise. I think that was the first horror movie I'd ever seen was Scream. But I really liked it. It was the first one that I had seen, and it really like got me into like the slasher sort of horror movies, which was really cool. I really liked them. I don't like the seventh one though. It's kind of boring. It was kind of lame.
So it's just one of those that kind of I don't know what you'd really say, kind of beats the franchise to death.
Yeah. I was looking forward to Matthew Lillard coming back, but not in the way that they did it. Like, you could have done it any other way.
No, I'm old enough. The first slasher I really saw was like Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, and like Friday the 13th.
I've seen like parts of the first Friday the 13th movie, and then I've seen the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie. And then I have not seen Halloween.
You haven't seen Halloween at all?
No.
None of the Michael Myers stuff?
Mm-mm.
Wow.
None of it. I know like who he is and stuff. I've never seen any of the movies though.
Okay. Now, I will point out, which I can't remember if it's canon or not. I don't claim to be an expert, even though I do like the franchise. That one of the Friday the 13th, Jason Goes to Hell, they actually tied in the Evil Dead, where they went to his mother's house and they had the Necronomicon and the Kandarian dagger on the table. And it was a really big tie-in at the end, one of the movie stingers or whatever you want to call it, where Freddy Krueger's glove came up and like grabbed the hockey mask at the very end and pulled it underground.
Oh.
Which, I mean, several years later they had Freddy versus Jason. Have you seen that one?
No. I have not seen Freddy versus Jason either.
Okay. So you got a short list of horror movies, maybe older horror movies to watch.
Oh yeah. I liked the first Alien movie. I watched that with you guys. Yeah. I haven't seen the rest of them though, I don't think. But the first one was really good. It was super cool.
Yeah, that's a good example of very pre-CGI, where everything's actually animatronics or puppeteering or somebody in a suit, and they had to use what they had to make it look real.
Well, it looked really freaking cool. It looked pretty real. So they did a good job.
Now, probably my favorite TV series is a hard toss-up between the Tales from the Crypt TV series and then probably the old Twilight Zone. I mean, the old Twilight Zone for storytelling and acting, because they didn't have the special effects, but then also, the new Tales from the Crypt with the Crypt Keeper that used to be on HBO, and it had a lot of good stories from the comics that they kind of enhanced and made more modern for when they made them, instead of being way back in the day when they were just comics.
Series, I really like Ash vs. Evil Dead. It's very comical. Anyway, it's very comical, and I like the creatures and the plot of it all. I was very mad that it ended when it ended. I was sad that you said, "Oh, what? That's it. No more."
And if you really watch that, you'll have Bruce Campbell addressed that issue at like a convention where he said it was the reason it got canceled. It didn't make enough money because it was one of the most pirated TV shows at the time that people never actually bought a subscription or paid for it. They just had somebody get it, and then they all recorded it and uploaded it and sent it to their friends. So I don't think he's like really blaming the audience per se, because I mean it is a big fan base and everything, but it's just yeah. But there has been talks about maybe returning to it, hopefully. I know that the new Evil Dead Burn is coming out pretty soon, the new movie.
If they plan on like making it, they better get it in gear.
Yeah.
Chop chop.
Yeah. The Evil Dead Burn is coming out July 10th in the United States. So it ought to be pretty decent. Now, there's a lot of fan fiction or speculation that the 3 new movies that have come out is a representation of the 3 different Necronomicons that were shown in Army of Darkness.
That would be so cool. Like the 3 different Necronomicons, that would be so cool. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and then like you said, they better get a move on if they're going to record more. And it's like, unfortunately, because it's like, yeah, Bruce Campbell had to stop his tour dates of the different Comic-Cons and different stuff that he was going to do because he had to take a cancer treatment. Yeah, he released a press conference like, yeah, he's going to have to take time off the road and get treatment, unfortunately. Well, I mean, not unfortunately. Hopefully he's going to get better, but
yeah.
Treatable but not curable form of cancer is what his quotation are, and he expects to be around for a while. So I mean, it's probably something like I had a guy that I worked with. He got pretty much the same thing. The medicine they got him on, it's like it doesn't cure it, but it keeps it from progressing any further than it is.
Yeah. Well, hope he gets better and hope it gets cured. And
definitely a shout out to Bruce Campbell. I want to see a ton of more B movies from the best B list actor of all time. Because I mean, now not in such a horror movie or horror topic, but did you ever see the TV series Briscoe County Jr. with him in it, where he was like the son of a U.S. Marshal, and he went to go collect all the outlaws that got out from a prison break. They killed his dad and they got off the train, and he had to go out and try to catch them all. Yeah, it has a sci-fi twist to it because there's this golden orb that grants people powers in it that they find when they're digging the railway.
It sounds really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. The other horror series I mentioned was like the old Twilight Zone, and a lot of people, I don't think, especially the newer generation, I know you've watched it, but a lot of the newer generation probably won't watch it because first off, it's in black and white.
Which, even if it is, it still looks really cool. And the storytelling is really cool.
And I understand it's like, you know, probably the cheesiness of it now because like if they have a flying saucer, you can see the line that it's on it. And you can imagine the guy off camera with the slide whistle going, you know, doing that. Just for the sound effects that were non-existent. They had to use what they had, you know. And, you know, also after that, you know, that Twilight Zone evolved into what was called during the 80s, like during Night Gallery, where Rod Serling did a new TV show, kind of the same premise, but they had like a painting and it was told the story of what it was about. And then, like I said, also mentioned the Tales from the Crypt series, which was funded by a lot of the people, I believe, that did Planet Hollywood. I'm not all the people, but a majority of the people. But like I said, it was a offshoot of what the comics were, but they updated it for modern times. And there was a lot of stars that were actually on that TV series. I mean, the last 2 series that moved to England or Great Britain for filming, and I'm not really sure what happened. I don't know if they got bought by another studio or something, but I'd have to look that up, or you, the viewers, can look that up.
Also, like Tales of the Crypt sort of storytelling, I like Erie, Indiana.
Oh,
That
yeah.
one was really good.
Now that's an older '90s TV show for people that haven't
Yeah.
watched that. You might want to look that up. Very good storytelling, very interesting. Stories going on, and it's the whole. The story. Nobody's going to believe the young kid or what's going on in their neighborhood.
And I love how another little kid got involved, and this little kid believed the other kid, but no one else is gonna believe these kids. They're
Yeah.
like, no, that's impossible.
And it's like how oblivious the parents were to what was actually going on. It's
Yeah.
like they would look at the next door neighbor who was like supposed to be Elvis in hiding, and they're like, "Yeah, it's just some old guy. No, don't worry about him."
Or like the very first episode, I believe, the Tupperware one, Foreverware, when the mother, she's like going over to this neighbor's house to like collect Tupperware or something, get new like a forever seal, and all of them are like giddy and look really young, even though they're supposed to be like older. It was just suspicious from the start, and like the son mentioned something, and she was like, "Nope, they're normal. It's fine. I'm gonna keep going over there. Oh well."
I think it was. I can't remember. It's been so long since I watched that series. But my favorite one is the one where he doesn't set his clock back to match the timeline, so he gets stuck in the past by like so many hours.
Oh yeah.
And then he's trying to escape like the cleanup crew of time, where they're picking everything up and everything, because he'll get erased. And it's the guy driving the milk truck, the old man.
Yes.
And at the very end, because he noticed he has the same bracelet as him, he's like, "Well, who are you?" And he's like, "A long time from now, someday you will find your way back here to Erie, Indiana." And it's him as an old elderly man, So, and I don't know, I can't remember if they ever actually tied up that offshoot storyline in that series or not.
I think it ended. I think it was only like 1 to 2 seasons. It was very short, and I think it ended on a cliffhanger. So
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's what is happening to a lot of shows these days, horror or not. That seems like the studios or streaming service that funds them lose interest, and then it's over with. It's like nobody can finish a series or a film series anymore.
And like even for some of the like more popular film series, once they start to not become popular, no one wants anything to do with them.
Yeah.
So they kind of just like stop making stuff, whether the storyline is finished or not. And then the shows that have like finished storylines, like Grey's Anatomy, that thing goes on forever. Too long, in my opinion. I will not watch Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. Way too long for no reason.
Yeah, I think the evolution of we're gonna only run a series or a show just while it's popular, and they really haven't given the show a chance to build a foundation of a loyal fan base. It's just like, oh, we're flashy, we're new, and then as it tapers off, they're like, oh, we dropped 2 points in ratings, we need to cancel.
Yeah. I think that another like series that's sort of like horror mystery sort of element, Supernatural.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. It goes on for a long time now. A really long time.
Now
There's like
did
15 seasons.
did they actually finish that one?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. I think so.
'Cause it's like I never watched it or never got into Supernatural. I don't know
Yeah.
why.
I mean, if they have all of these seasons and they didn't wrap it up, then what are they doing? I
Yeah.
mean, there's like 15 seasons to that show, so
I think a couple other TV series, horror movies that people might want to look into if they haven't is like the new Outer Limits. It was on, I think, late 90s through 2000s. They had really good shows on there. A lot of the retelling of the old series they updated, but they had a lot of new stories too. And then they had a show that was called Friday the 13th, the series, which was actually about an antique shop where they collected antiques that they had different abilities. Like they had like a tea set that would poison the person that wasn't the owner if you drank from it. They had one where a wheelchair, if you were crippled, you could get it and sit in it, and like, but you had to murder people to get your mobility back.
Oh,
And like the chair was indestructible.
wow. It sounds familiar.
Yeah, they had a decent run. I'm not 100% sure on how long the series lasted, but it's been a long time ago, and that's why I have problems trying to remember how long it was and the exact details of what was going on. Possibly another series that was kind of riding the coattails of another horror movie. It was called Poltergeist: The Legacy, and it's where they went out and they hunted like monsters or demons or ghosts or kind of like cursed items as well.
I haven't seen the movie or the series, but I've heard the movie is pretty scary.
Yeah, it's completely different. It's kind of like the movie, but not, because the Poltergeist movie deal with like one group of entity and people, but like the Legacy is about like a group of like supernatural hunters that go around the world.
That would make sense.
Another older but good TV series, I guess you could say. I mean, I haven't watched it probably since it came out, and so I don't know how it holds up today. And then now one of my favorites, and it was horrible when it came out, but it's one of those that's so horrible it's good. I don't know if you've seen it. It's that Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
I haven't watched it yet. I want to watch it so bad, though.
Yes, I just love the concept of the aliens coming down on our huge clowns and like capturing people and wrapping them up in cotton candy.
And the clowns look so ridiculous. Like, they don't look very, what's the word? Like, harmful?
Yeah.
They don't look like they're scary. They just look goofy.
Okay.
I really like, it's a more like recent one. It's from 2020.
Okay.
I like the Chucky series.
Okay.
It's pretty good. I like how they didn't like water down anything just because it's a series now. Like, they kept Chucky on his killing spree and everything and made him kill in probably more horrendous ways than the movies. But it was pretty good. The storyline is pretty good too. So,
You know, I've actually not seen maybe a couple clips of that, but I haven't actually sit down and watched like season 1 or anything. I think I've seen the clip where he was in the asylum and I had no idea to know why, but he's in the asylum and he's walking by and the lady's like said something to him and he stops and looks at her and she's like, "You can hear me?" Yeah, he's like, "Yeah, I'll be back to kill you later," or something like that.
that's one of the movies. I think it's the very last one. Cult of Chucky? Yes, it's that one. And he is in an asylum and she's like crazy. I think she's a schizophrenic, and so she thinks that she's not real, and so the people that can see her, she's like, "You can see me, you can hear me."
Now, if I remember the clip I seen correctly, I'm not sure, but the guy that was supposed to be the criminal, he's like from the very first movie, I think. It looks a lot like the same guy, but he was talking about the cult of Baal, and like he sold his soul to like make him come to life or something like that, or put his soul in there or something like that. I can't remember for sure, because like I've seen so many clips that it's blended together.
Yeah.
But I know he like ended up in the White House somehow.
Yeah. Are you talking about the one that was like practicing witchcraft with Chucky?
I think so.
Yeah. He was like helping in the White House for some reason. I can't remember what, but yeah, you get the White House in there somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I remember, when Chucky first came out, because it was like really horrifying at first, but then it's like, it's a little doll that's maybe 2 foot tall. And yes, I understand he might have a knife or something like that, but as soon as you pick him up, what's he gonna do? They've killed him in the movies by throwing him into a fire or throwing him in a factory press and smashing him and all this stuff. But it's like it's I don't know. I guess it's one of those things you have to be there to be scared.
Yeah.
And have it actually happen, I guess.
And like, even shooting him worked.
Yeah.
Like, as long as, like, the more he stays in the body in doll form, the more, like, he'll turn human again, and, like, that body will be human. And so, if you shoot him while he's trying to get a new soul because he needs to get a different body, he's gonna be human and therefore easier to kill.
Yeah. So, man, it's like, I could be wrong, but was there one, like, he supposedly the doll had cancer or something like that, or he was sick and he was talking to somebody? I can't remember for sure. Where he was coughing and stuff, like he was really, really, really sick.
Oh, was it just a head?
I don't remember for sure.
Okay, because I was gonna say, like, Andy kept a head of one of the Chucky dolls in, like, a safe, but he wasn't sick or anything. Andy just, like, tortured him and stuff. It was some psychological thing, like, attachment to the doll.
Okay.
Like, I'm gonna traumatize you like how you traumatized me. And Chucky's like, oh, this hurts, but I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Okay. And it's like the TV series and movies I've mentioned, The Cult of Bale, it's like that's what they blamed, like House on Haunted Hill. You've seen that? Have you seen that movie?
Maybe.
Where they have the insane asylum and the guy, it's based off like the old Vincent Price movie, the same premise. The rich guy invites all these people for his wife's birthday party, and whoever can survive the night, you know, they'll get X amount of money.
Oh, okay.
And he sets it up to have like jump scares and stuff to like try to get the people to run screaming out of the house, but there's actually like an evil entity in the building that's like killing them off for real one by one.
I don't think so.
Well, they had that, and they redid it, and the remake is really, really good because it's a building that was turned into an insane asylum. So like the ghosts are insane people. Okay. And it's like one of the scenes is like this chick that wants to be like a really famous reporter. She's like filming as she's walking along and like looking, and she's like walking by this room when they're doing like a surgery on somebody, and she like looks up over her little handy cam, and it's like nothing's in their room, and then she looks back at her screen on her camera, and like all of a sudden everybody like turns and looks at her, and then she like gets taken away. But like the second one, people are going to break back in because they heard there's like a lot of money in the basement, but it's like they find like a statue of Bale. It's like the Cult of Bale, and they said like supposedly that's why all the evil concentrated there or something like that.
That sounds really cool. And it's an interesting concept too, because like she's looking at the camera and she's seeing stuff, but then she's looking above it and not seeing anything.
Yeah.
She's just seeing stuff through the camera. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. It's definitely, I would recommend watching that one if you have not seen that one. Even watch the old one, which I mean is funny. You know, black and white, Vincent Price. Big fan of Vincent Price just because of his voice and how he says stuff. And watching old Johnny Carson interviews of him, you know, talking, and his sense of humor and everything is great, especially for that time. But if you watch the old House on Haunted Hill, you'll see like the skeleton is on the, you can see the wires as it's moving along, and it's like scaring people and everything, which is hilarious. But I mean, back then it was scary to people because, you know, they're probably not seeing really horrible things on TV and movies anyway at that time. I mean, yeah, they had no filter or no buffer for that, because it's like, you know, the stuff we watch today compared to back then is you would have got arrested for showing it at a movie theater back then. And it's just like, what will be on 20 years from now? I mean, really.
A series that we recently watched that was pretty good it was like an adapted series from a movie, the Welcome to Derry.
Yeah.
Welcome to Derry was very good.
Yeah.
They need to hurry up and get the rest of it out.
Yes.
So we can finish.
Yes. Spoiler alerts for anybody that hasn't seen Welcome to Derry. So if you haven't, you might want to fast forward a little bit. But I like how they tied in the guy from The Shining that was the cook.
Yes.
And everything. And the concept of like he had an artifact from like a child that the creature had killed, it had killed, and located him with The Shining and was like looking at him, and he was like, "You can see me," and it's like the first time that it may have been terrified because it's
Yeah.
like not used to anybody being able to see it. It shows itself when it wants to be seen, and it's like he found him like, and he's like, "You can see me," and then it like freaked it out, and then possibly when he was tricking it into a linear timeline, which it, if I understand or remember correctly, he's supposed to be able to see all time all at once, but then he popped him into like a hallucination or whatever using The Shining, where he was back into the body of the clown and he could only see one timeline like people can. So he was like, that's why he was going, wait a minute,
This is a trick.
this is something's wrong. And he's like, are you okay? You hit your head pretty hard out there in the woods.
Yeah. And then Pennywise is like, don't call me by that name. That's not my name.
Yeah.
Because he was as the guy that he like possessed.
Yeah.
It's like Bill or something.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, it's funny to see where they've taken a lot of that from the story. I think another aspect is like season 1 where all those kids got killed, but like their friend, they got picked up by the family. I really feel like, is that like the family that lived in that house that they show them going into in the later movies? Like in the book, it's supposed to be an abandoned house at the end of the street, and it's like is that supposed to be the family that lived there and he killed them all?
That's what I think. I think we're gonna get like more plot on that towards like the new seasons that are coming up, or season that's coming up. Because I think if I remember right, that house was shown partially in what we watched.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's in the later.
It's in the movie.
It's in the movie. Yeah, it's in the movie and stuff. And yeah, it's just like, yeah, they got a lot left they can do to fill in the void of that series and do like a lot of the back lore and everything. But the one that gets me is like they never, to me, unless they can do it in Return to Derry, which I don't know if they were going to do like after the events of the losers, like beating him or whatever. But in the book, like, again, spoiler alert, people, in the book, when he is defeated, like most of the town is destroyed. It falls apart. It sinks into the ground because the entity was the town itself. And I think they kind of touched on that in the Welcome to Derry, where the Native Americans were saying, you know, it's leaking. It must shed its skin or something because it's leaking into the water supply. We've noticed the aggressive nature of the people that live in town has increased, and the strange stuff that people see has increased and everything. But it's like a lot of that stuff, I mean, that Stephen King had in the book, a lot of people, they haven't been able to touch on in the series or the movies or anything because it's just so much that goes along with it.
Yeah, I like how they did like the whole, like they added on to, this isn't really a horror aspect of the show, but like during this time period, the whole like civil rights stuff, I like how they put that in there. And like how the girl with her dad, he was being blamed for the deaths of those 2 kids in the theater strictly because he was black, even though we saw he wasn't even working that night.
Yeah.
He was at home, so they're just putting the blame on somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good aspect, good point.
Yeah.
I also like how they mention, like, you know, everybody, you know, I would assume that read or watched Stephen King's movies or TV shows or anything like that, that his entire universe that he's created and written about is everything's connected. It's because it's like they talk about sending that guy to Shawshank.
Yeah.
Which is like a different movie, a different book altogether, you know, Shawshank Redemption and everything. And even an apt pupil, the guy that's the escaped Nazi war criminal, he mentions Andy Dufresne was his banker and that he ended up in Shawshank. You know. You know, and being on Stephen King stuff, you know, they redid The Stand, which I know a lot of people is like it was probably a time to remake The Stand, but and I know his son had a lot to do with it. That's why I'm sure it got Stephen King's blessing and everything. But it's just like them showing people in Vegas like they're drinking, getting drunk, and doing drugs and all that stuff. In the book, it was Randall Flagg did not tolerate drugs at all, and getting even drunk was questionable because there was a lot of people he crucified for getting drunk, for getting high. I mean, he crucified people for drug use because he didn't want it to interfere with his like telepathic connection of controlling them.
Oh.
And seeing what they were doing at all times, you know. So it's like, yeah, that's not something that I can agree with in the new series, you know, them doing that. And then the Coda part where they're, you know, the two of the main characters are going back to, like, Franny Goldsmith and Stu Redman, they're going back across country to go back to Maine so she can have her baby. And it's like they stop in this farm in Kansas, and it's like the reincarnation of their leader, you know, and she's like a young kid again, but Franny falls in the well and helps rescue her and all that stuff. And it's like, you know, if Stephen King did that, that's great if he wanted to add on to his story. But it's like if they did that for the show, it's like, no thanks, you know. It's like, and like I said, his son had a lot to do with the series, and it's like, so I'm sure that's why Stephen King was like, that's great and everything. But it's like, yeah, it's deviating too far from the book itself. I mean,
yeah. I read parts of the book for The Stand. I did not read like the whole thing. But from what I did read, it was pretty good.
Yeah. I think another example of that too, is maybe not horror genre, but like the TV series. I don't think you've seen any of that yet. Is American Gods, to where the first 2 seasons they pretty well follow the book, but the last bit of it before it got canceled, they went completely off the rails. And it's like, so that's why, you know, everybody's like, it's horrible. This isn't anything close to the book. Sorry, you know. And diehard fans of that stuff, science fiction and horror, they want it to be as close to the, you know, the original storyline as possible. I mean, some of the offshoots you can get lucky on, people like, okay, I like that, you know. It's like Return to Derry. It may not have a lot grounded in what was actually written about in the novel, but it's good enough that people are like, okay, this is fine, you know. This is pretty cool, even though it wasn't, you know, written that way.
Yeah. I like also a movie that I had seen way sooner than I probably should have. Legion.
Yeah.
The Fallen Angel, and like the ice cream zombie man with the long jaw, when his mouth opened and he like roared, scared me. Did not like that. That was creepy.
And it's like, if I remember right, because I remember watching that movie too. It's like, if I remember right, people are like, oh, you know, those are all the demons or whatever. And it's like, no, they say explicitly those are angels. Those are all angels. And it's like, yeah, it's like, holy crap. And it's like, people don't realize, like, oh, those are not demons, those are angels.
Yeah. Because
they were told to wipe out humanity.
It's such a cool movie, and I don't see it like talked about a whole lot. And I asked some of my friends if they've seen it, and they're like, I've never heard of that movie a day in my life.
Wow.
Yeah. But I watched it a while back. I think that was the first movie I had seen, and then Scream.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was super cool. I think Mom has it on DVD. I think that is the only horror movie.
Now, you bring up an important point for me that I've thought about a lot. You talk about Mom having it on DVD and everything.
Yeah.
Everybody trending towards streaming online only. And it's like, someday there won't be any more DVDs pressed or burnt, no Blu-rays, no nothing. So it's like, what happens to your collection and after you're gone? But I know some of them do like family status accounts where you can set it up for your family, but it's like you don't have a physical copy anymore. And if you read like the fine print, you're buying rights to view the film. You don't actually own the film. So it's like if something happens and they decide to kick you off of whatever you're streaming off of once you've bought stuff off of, you can no longer access all that. So that's like literally a lifetime, thousands of dollars gone.
Yeah. I've heard on like TikTok, I guess it's like trending now, but everyone is bringing like physical media back, at least my generation. They want like DVDs and CDs and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well,
instead of just the streaming services, so they don't have to pay all of that money and stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like me buying vinyl albums, because it's like I like the sound, plus I have a physical copy. It's not an MP3 or MP4 or digital download or anything like that. But yeah, having a physical copy to me is very important. I've got probably a lot of DVDs, if you look, that I do have online digitally as well, because it's like if something happens and I don't have access to that streaming service anymore, or where I bought it stuff from or whatever, and all the stuff I bought is gone, but then I have a physical copy. Now the only thing I really got to worry about is like buying DVD and Blu-ray players, and it's like I stopped at the like a flea market here recently, and you go in there and there's a DVD/VHS player in there for like $50. That supposedly still works, but it's like, yeah, and it's like, if you've ever watched VHS for the newer generation, you're going to look at it and be like, how did they watch stuff back in the day? Because it's like not bright, or the tracking's off, or it's got static lines or whatever too. Yeah, and if a really important website, I think, is the National Archives, that has like a lot of television shows and movies and stuff from way back in the day that's free to watch, but you can kind of see what the video quality and everything looked like back then.
Yeah, I think VHS tapes are pretty cool. My grandma, she has a whole bunch of VHS tapes, and she had a VHS player until it went to crap, and then we're sort of out of luck. But she's got a whole bunch of movies. She's got like Peter Pan, Winnie the Pooh, and like we were watching it, and the quality they were good. They were pretty good for being old.
Yeah. Well, and it's something that's funny is like when that technology came about, the VHS player and recorder, and they always had the warning, it is illegal to make a recording of this, and it's like they knew people across the country were doing it. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. I mean, you could get rent a VHS player from like Blockbuster or whatever your local movie rental place was, and you got it home, you hooked it up into your VHS player you already had, and they used to make the cassettes with like a little indentation in the cassette where if you hit record and the thing came up inside the machine, it wouldn't let you make a recording of it to another machine because that little cutout was there. The arm would hit it and go in, and it'd pop back out. Well, people found out they could put a piece of black tape over that on the cassette, and it would let them record. So it was like the first instances of like pirating stuff besides like audio. You're recording stuff off the radio all the time on a cassette.
I did not know about that.
Yeah. Well, it's like the CDs that they made, supposedly you couldn't, they call it ripping back, or the day you'd rip songs off of it, they had like technology you could rip them off. And, the first ripper I remember actually came standard with Microsoft. It was, you could pull songs off of CDs, but then of course, all the copyright issues and stuff, they took it off. But they supposedly pressed CDs that could not work on. And somebody found out if you took a black magic marker and went around the edge of the CD, you could do it anyway. Because like the encoding was like right there at the beginning of the CD. But yeah, it's I know we're far afield from talking about horror movies and stuff like that, but yeah, it's just all goes hand in hand with entertainment and stuff like that, I think. I'm trying to think of another horror movie. You know, I mentioned Vincent Price, and a really good one. And they based 2 movies off of it, or it led to probably a more modern version. The Last Man on Earth, and it was Vincent Price. And back in the day, it was actually a disease from bats, which they turned it into as vampires, pretty much. You know, like he's the last man. But the thing was, he was the last one because he was immune. He'd gotten bitten while out of the country by a bat, and it had some form of the disease, but not the super aggressive version. So he was naturally immune while everybody else was not. And that, you know, kind of turned into the Omega Man with Charlton Heston, which is another good actor, which he did a lot of, you know, horror genres. You know, he did like Soylent Green, where they were recycling people for food and everything. And that turned into The Last Man on Earth with like Will Smith, you know, that version of it, you know, where the virus turned people into monsters and stuff. But yeah, a lot of the horror genre can, I think, can change over time to fit whatever is going on at that time. You know, before, you know, it was always the bad guy was living out in the woods or the swamp or the forest, and then when people got more civilized and more condensed into like a village or a town, it was like, well, there's the bad guy's walking among us, he lives next door, you know. And probably a lot of the old superstitions and myths from the old world followed in, you know, to the new, but it's just been changed to fit today. Further from that aspect, if like you have ever seen the horror movies, like sci-fi horror movie Event Horizon, where they have the spaceship and the guy built it to cross space at like long distances of space by folding reality itself and being able to jump, and like the ship disappears and then it comes back and like everybody on board is gone or missing.
I have not seen it.
Okay, it's a very good watch. Basically the ship itself is alive and everything, and you know, sorry, spoiler alert on that one, folks. The ship is alive and it's killing people off one by one, like basically kind of Christine, but for outer space in a spaceship. And eventually there's a talk of them making a sequel to that movie, and I hope, you know, the sequel does as good as or better than the first Event Horizon. It actually became like a cult classic underground. And if I remember correctly, a friend of mine that's watched it says there's actually an uncut version out there somewhere, but they can't put it out on DVD or Blu-ray because the originals for that, it was not stored properly, so they all got damaged. But I think there was a few that DVDs made when it first came out, and it's like if you find them online, they're like worth crazy amount of money and everything. So hopefully those people don't do anything illegal, like start copying it and selling it on eBay. But I wouldn't, you know, tell people to do that. But if it happened, you know, who's to say somebody wouldn't buy it, you know?
Yeah.
And with that, you know, talking about space, we've spaced out on time, and we've made an incredibly long podcast, which is not a bad thing. But this is Baby with Chill with Us again, our special guest, Jenn.
Hello, watch those movies and the series. They're really good. When you get the time to watch them, definitely do that. And tell us about them, what you liked about them.
And that's all we have time for today, folks. This is Baby with Chill with Us. If you like the show, please send it to somebody you like. If you don't like the show, send it to somebody you don't like. Either way, I win. That's all that matters, right? But stay cool, stay calm, and thanks for chilling with us. Later.
Sunlight's getting long now, casting shadows on the floor. Hope you feel a little lighter than you did just moments before. It's time to step back out there into the evening glow, from the corner of the world where we move slow. just glad you stopped by to find a moment of peace with us. We'll keep the light on for you, right here in this space. Next time the static gets too loud, you know the way back to the quiet place.